After months of using the Pixel 7 daily, switching to the OnePlus 11 was definitely an interesting experience to say the least. I've enjoyed my time with the Pixel 7, don't get me wrong, but after spending many years away from OnePlus, the pull to the 11 series was such a huge proponent in my decision to make it my main Android phone for the time being. At this point, I've used it for 3 months, and I have to say, the OnePlus 11 is officially an underrated device in almost every area. Yes, the hardware is awesome, and we will get into that, but for me, the biggest factor is certainly the price, as it sits perfectly between the Pixel 7 at $599 and the Pixel 7 Pro at $899, and it's still a bit cheaper than the Galaxy S23 series, which starts at $799, whereas the OnePlus 11 sits around the $699 price point. Of course, prices are going to vary per retailer, but that's just something to keep in mind. When it comes to long-term reviews, update frequency is probably one of the most important aspects to talk about. Since launch, the OnePlus 11 has received a total of 3 updates. We received 2 in March and 1 in May. All of those updates have been solely focused on stability and bug fixes, so at this time, there's no new features, which is fine. I know that feature-focused updates are more of a Pixel thing anyway, so I guess that's why I'm even talking about it, because I wanted to keep you guys up to speed on how OnePlus handles updates for their flagship devices. The good news is, if you're in India, you did get one small feature-focused update that focused on small improvements to gaming and health capabilities. Overall, OnePlus's bi-monthly update pledge is fine, but I agree, it could be much, much better. The merger between Oppo and OnePlus should have enabled more frequent updates, but with Android 14 on the horizon, in my opinion, it's likely more important that the next operating system upgrade is not delayed. You can even try it out for yourself right now. There's a beta on OnePlus's website, but honestly, little new has been added to speak of here. This brings me to the design, and while there's definitely nothing groundbreaking here by any means, there are a lot of aspects to this design that just make me feel like this is underrated. Things like that beautiful centerpiece of a camera module, or the alert slider, or even that back glass plate with the sandstone-like matte finish, all help to set this phone apart from the pack from a design perspective. Compared to my previous daily phone, which was the Pixel 7, both designs look great, but the design of the OnePlus 11 is just night and day difference to me in terms of character and style, and I feel that way about other Android flagships too, like the Galaxy S23, or even HTC's new devices. When it comes to the front of the device, that's where everything is much more traditional. We get the expected hole punch front-facing camera and the curved display, which doesn't bother me, but I know there's like a big debate in the Android community right now about curved screen versus not curved screen. Design-wise, I love the curved screen look and feel, but functionality-wise, I empathize with you all completely. I definitely fail to see the usefulness here. Of course, all of that is personal preference, but objectively, I can talk about how it's been holding up all this time. So far, the polished metal frame is holding up quite well. I've kept it inside a case as most sane people do, so as expected, everything still looks good. After about 3 months, my biggest concern regarding the build is definitely the camera lens glass and the lack of IP68 certification. The camera lens has deflected daily use and abuse over the past few months with no visible scratches or damage, which is nice. That said, the surface area and positioning of this camera lens setup makes me feel like it's a matter of when rather than if damage will occur. I didn't want to discourage you from picking up a OnePlus 11. Rather, I thought it was just really important to share with you how cautious I have to be with that big camera lens exposed. But something else that does bother me too is the lack of IP68 certification. That's my only other main concern about the build. Right now, it's IP64 certified, which just protects against splashes, but IP68 certification will protect against full-on submersion, which I've never fully submersed my phone before, but it could happen, and because of that, I want to be protected against it. So just something to keep in mind. Another area that completely surprised me was software, and I just have to say, Oxygen OS has grown a lot, and as someone who hasn't extensively used Oxygen OS since the OnePlus 3, a lot has changed, some for better, some for worse. Getting right into it, this new version of Oxygen OS, while not the super stock experience that tech enthusiasts have come to love in the past, is surprisingly solid. Despite adding a lot of color OS sheen, it's much cleaner than Xiaomi's MIUI, it's super fast and fluid, plus it adds customization that gives you a great degree of control. There's a lot to go over, but my favorite customization features are the ability to change the icon shapes, use third-party icon packs in the stock launcher, which very few launchers allow you to do, by the way, and I love that you can alter the animations for both the home screen transitions and even the fingerprint scanner. Not to mention, there are a handful of always-on display alternatives for those of you who are interested. And that's just customization. I also love how OnePlus has a little section inside their settings app that highlights Oxygen OS exclusive features with tutorials and tips on how to access these for new and seasoned users. Personally, I haven't used all of these features, but the one that I've gotten the most use out of was the smart sidebar feature, which is like the app drawer overlay on Samsung devices where you can quickly access your favorite apps from the Edge panel. There's also some smaller features to appreciate as well, including flexible window tabs where you can basically have a little floating interface around. This is useful for if you're on your phone doing other activities and you still want to monitor a specific application. OnePlus has also been leading the way with digital well-being services within Oxygen OS, and a prime example of that is the work-life balance mode, which I should probably look more into for my own personal life, but this allows you to turn off notifications from specific apps at specific hours of the day, which has helped keep distracting notifications at bay and is honestly sorely missing on Pixel phones. And all of that is before I get into the gaming features, because lately I've been playing an unhealthy amount of Call of Duty Mobile. To be fair, it's a good experience on the OnePlus 11, so maybe that's why, but still, there's a awesome little gaming feature here called the Hyper Boost game engine, which has helped me out a lot during my time with this device. Whenever a game starts up, it automatically activates and is able to give you access to some features that you normally wouldn't get on traditional smartphones. For starters, you can open up the interface to see your current FPS, GPU temperature, and network latency stats. This also includes an option to turn it on in the overlay to keep those stats constantly displayed, which is pretty cool. There's even more options to adjust graphic settings like anti-aliasing or texture filtering quality. There are screen recording features, options to add a color filter for games that support it, and even the option to open Discord with the tap of the button while in game. You don't have to leave the game to access Discord. To my surprise, the HyperBoost game engine is actually a deep piece of software that I imagine even the most hardcore gamers could find some use out of it, and it's just another unexpected thing that makes me feel like this device is underrated. And now let's pass this over to our friend Damien here, where he can give us his insight on the OnePlus 11 camera system.
When we're looking at the camera on the OnePlus 11, I think one of the best ways to gauge quality is to compare this device alongside a close competitor or be aware of a rival device. Sitting between the Pixel 7 and the 7 Pro, at least in terms of their price bracket, at least in North America market, means that these are going to be two of the main direct Android devices that you would potentially choose between. And luckily for anyone looking at this particular device, I think in most cases the OnePlus 11 stacks up really well, and the OnePlus Hasselblad color tuning with that improved sensor system mean that it's generally fun to use the OnePlus 11 when taking photos and even videos, as it does have a wealth of video options that Pixel phones don't have. To that end, I think it does hang in there well against the Pixel 7 series, particularly even the Pro, but even with the help of the Hasselblad tuning, to be completely honest, I think it's never truly blown me away, which could be a bit nitpicky, as at least on my part, most people out there will be very happy with every type of image this triple lens system can produce, and you've got a lot of flexibility on offer with 3 focal lengths. I do think though that sometimes it overblows HDR, but where it really does shine is in the colour tuning which has come from Hasselblad. While images might not be the best in every single area, I think the colour profile is easily my favourite on a smartphone. Details are nice and rich, and images do look true to life with an impressive night mode thrown in there and good autofocus also on top of that. I do think while it might not be the best outright system on a mobile device, the OnePlus 11 is definitely one of the best on a OnePlus phones today, and while I wouldn't say it's the top one you can go out and buy, that all-around honour does probably belong to the Galaxy S23 Ultra. It is truly well placed and very impressive at its $699 start price, and I would have to say I think Jordan does agree with me there.
Of course, I'm so grateful for Damien to hop in here and give his thoughts on the camera, and moving on, we can talk about the likes, dislikes, and then we can wrap this video up. As for the likes, a lot of these are personal, but I'm honestly sure you can relate. First is battery and charging speeds. Battery is great. With minimal use, I can get about 3 days sometimes, and as expected with top tier phones these days, going the heaviest you can with YouTube, games, GPS, etc., it's expected you can get at least the full day plus more. And for charging speeds, I don't think I've ever had a phone that charges this fast. Basically, it gets to 100% in 25 minutes, which means 10 minutes, you get 50%. So if you're in a rush trying to go to work or trying to go somewhere quickly and your phone's about to die, 10 minutes of charge can get you about 50% or more, and that's enough to last you the day, honestly. So I'll never get used to how fast this device charges, and it just feels so surreal plugging in the device and literally watching the percentage go up in front of your eyes. It's just completely insane. Some other aspects about this device I really enjoyed are the fingerprint scanner. It's just really fast, really reliable, works 99% of the time. I don't even have to worry about it, which is great. I'm also in love with the display. OnePlus has slowly been building their expertise in display technology over the years, and within the last several generations, it's certainly shown itself as a powerful force in the industry. As expected, everything's clean, everything's sharp, everything's crystal clear, and goes up to 120 Hz, which is definitely noticeable for those who know what to look for. My gaming monitor displays at 144 Hz, so I can notice immediately when my OnePlus 11 goes from 60 to 90 to 120, but for good measure, you can also turn on the frames counter in the developer settings and you'll be able to see what your current frames are at, which is pretty awesome. As I said earlier regarding the dislikes, everything is completely subjective, so something that bothers me may not bother you at all, which is just something you should think about. First is the lack of color options. Yes, I know we have the green version, but to be specific, OnePlus released a red Genshin Impact version and a limited edition Jupiter Rock version. Both are exclusive to China, so unfortunately, I will never be able to get my hands on one, which is disappointing. This is something super minor, but just in terms of accessories, I know the phone's still new, but in my opinion, there is a pathetically small selection of unique looking cases out there, and I just wish there was a wider variety. Another issue that myself and other OnePlus 11 users have reported is with the YouTube app. In my experience, every other day or so, the YouTube app will occasionally lag beyond use, not detect touch, and sometimes crash, which is really frustrating for me as someone who consumes 80% of their content on YouTube. To be fair, I haven't seen this issue pop up in a couple of weeks, but I'm still seeing forum posts about it. I'm still seeing other members of the OnePlus 11 community talking about it, so just be wary. And the greatest offender of them all is not the lack of wireless charging. I'm actually okay with that because the device charges in like 2 minutes. Like, I don't need wireless charging. Like, it charges so fast, I don't need it. To me, the greatest offender of them all is the lack of IP68 certification. And from that perspective, I just feel really vulnerable without it. I know I talked about it earlier, so I won't go too long about it. I just feel so vulnerable without full IP68 certification. It currently has splash protection, which is fine, don't get me wrong, but for the level of accidents I have and the kind of luck that I have, I want IP68 so that I'm safe. Overall, I've been completely loving the OnePlus 11 with its positives and its negatives. I love the device as a whole. So, hopefully I'll be holding on to it for the next couple of months here. So if you guys have any other questions or anything else you want me to take a look at, let me know. And, I can make follow-up videos or reviews on, certain accessories or whatever. So if there's anything you guys want to know additionally, just let me know. I'd be happy to take a look at your guys' comments here. And other than that, yeah, I'm going back to the Pixel 7 moving forward. I love the OnePlus 11, don't get me wrong, but I just want to try the Pixel 7 now again and see how Android 14 is developing on that. So hopefully you'll see videos on stuff like that soon as well. And other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. This is my first official video. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Jordan Floyd with 9 to 5 Google, and I hope to see you in the next one.